Hey folks, what's going on? Aunt Pruitt here. Hope y'all are doing well. It's another unbelievable day in the neighborhood on a Thursday with the smartphone photographers community. This is our weekly-ish hangout on there that we like to call Point and Shoot. In the smartphone photographers community, we like to talk about different tips and tricks that can help make you a better smartphone photographer. First off, I am not a professional. Not everybody in the community is a professional, but that still doesn't mean we can't share any little findings and tips and ideas that we have found to make our shots look a little bit better and share it, So that's what we're all about here. I'm joined each week with some folks from the community, and tonight is still the usual suspects. We'll go down to the Southwest and allow these guys to introduce themselves, starting with my man, Mr. Michael King. How you doing?
Well, I'm here. We're still dealing with all the crap that's been going on by Mother Nature, and now we got it starting up again. So I haven't had time to do much of anything.
Well, from what I know, you are the man for the job, and as usual, it's good to see you hanging out with us on a Thursday.
This has got a nice break from looking at all the devastation, so I enjoy coming in here just to get away from it.
All right, so let's go up to New England area, somewhat. Is that still considered New England, right?
Everything from Massachusetts north is New England.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, there's some debate about that. Some people from Connecticut seem to think that Connecticut is part of New England.
See, I had to ask. Well, anyway, up in the beautiful state of Maine, my man, Mr. Joey Kelly. How you doing, bro?
Coming to you live and direct from vacation land. It is ironic. I've been out on the motorcycle several times, yet the other day we had snow. And then I was back out on the motorcycle the next day.
Go figure that out.
Yeah. Mother Nature, I swear, is on some sort of, medication or illegal substance. Because just, up, down, all around.
Only in Maine, folks. Only in Maine. Well, Mr. Kelly, it's good to see you as always. Appreciate you hopping in.
Quite welcome.
Hanging out with us this evening.
Always glad to have it. It's very nice to be with you two. Wait a minute. Very nice to be with you two. That sounded weird. Anyway, but no, I look forward to this every week. It's just so great to take a break and stop and talk only about photography, and particularly when Mike Sweeney's not here, then I can actually, be right, and
let me invite Mike Sweeney.
Oh, great! Then I'll be wrong for the rest of the hangout.
Oh, mercy. It's all good, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, bring him in if you can. He's been missing in action too long.
Well, I invite him every week. I invite a lot of different people every week, and if you get the invite, they hop in. If they get it and not able to hop in, they don't. It is what it is. It's all good. All right, so let's move on here. What we like to do in the community is not only share our, different tips and tricks and ideas, but we also do different challenges, photography challenges, that is, in the community. And the challenges can range from just about any type of theme, if you will. We may have a black and white challenge. We may have a street photography challenge. We may have a challenge that just says round, anything. It depends on who won the previous challenge, because they get to decide what the next theme will be. But in addition to having those challenges, we also try to talk about other things that we come across during the week that would, have some type of effect or dealings with the world of smartphone photography. So before we get into our challenge and take a look at the shots that were submitted, let's do a little discussion. I know Mr. Kelly had something on his mind that he wanted to share that's going on up there in the state of Maine that just might be interesting for us. What you got?
Well, I have many things that are interesting to many people, but
so you think anyway.
Well, current results in the world of dating would clearly indicate otherwise. Anyway, that having been said, it's actually been. Oh my God, Sweeney's here. Now I'm going to be wrong.
Well, look
on
who just popped in.
everything I say.
This is, folks, my man, Mr. Mike Sweeney, over on the left coast, down in dadgummit, beautiful weather, Southern California. How you doing, Mr. Sweeney?
Doing well. It's 75 and sunny.
Turn your gains up on your mic. Otherwise, it sounds really good, though.
How's that? Testing?
A little more.
Testing?
A little more.
Testing?
There you go.
All right.
And that is super crispy clear. Good stuff, man.
Just like bacon.
So now that he's here, I have to, of course, mandatorily reference Katy Perry's "California Girls."
Gosh, no.
You know, all should be sitting here bopping to that.
Please no. Please no.
Go right ahead.
Anyway, welcome, Mr. Sweeney. It's good to see you. Mr. Kelly, what were you getting ready to get into?
I was just about to say, I'm actually going to my very first art show tomorrow as a photographer. It's going to be a little local event. It's going to be something just to get my feet in the water, so to speak.
Oh, wow.
It's going to be fun, I hope. Cross fingers. Hoping I bring some stuff and some people buy some pictures and we go back and forth.
Right.
That's what I'm hoping. But several of the pictures that I am bringing, I think 4 in total out of the 13 I had printed today, or maybe 3, were taken with the smartphone.
Nice.
Yeah. And what's interesting, I have large prints made, 11 by 14 usually, for display purposes. And I brought them over, and I had both the photo tech that did the printing, or the printer tech, whichever way you want to look at it, and I had somebody else from the optical department that used to work in the photo department where I had them printed come over and take a look. And almost all of the time, they were able to identify which shot was a smartphone picture, which was interesting. And I put the question to them. I said, okay, why? What makes you think that? And every single time, it was depth of field.
Yeah, well, don't the smartphones have a fixed f-stop?
They do, but the fixed f-stop does not necessarily imply that there's a shallow depth of field. In this case, it is true. However, many fixed lenses can have a fixed f-stop, and many lenses have different optics that basically mean that you have an extremely narrow depth of field, even if the f-stop is not fixed. So it's a question of optics, and keep in mind these were very large prints. On a smaller print, you might not even notice.
Right.
But they made the comment several times that, okay, this was very distinctly blurred in these areas. And what I didn't ask them was, okay, is it the depth of field or is it the centered focus or what is it about that? But they were able to identify them consistently, or almost consistently.
You know what I find interesting about that conversation is they say depth of field and didn't necessarily say, well, because the pixel quality is lower, yada, 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 that kind of thing.
Yeah. And they did not indicate that it was in any way a lesser photo or that the quality was any lower.
Nice.
But they just mentioned that one particular trait. And keep in mind, these are two people that see an awful lot of prints.
Yeah, that's all they do.
Yeah. And they would have a tendency to be, shall we say, greater than the average bear in that opinion, and be able to spot differences in optics.
Nice. Good stuff. Good stuff. Mr. Sweeney, I know you get out and put a lot of your work out there from your DSLR as well as your smartphone. You got anything in the works? Or you been too busy packet switching?
It's been all soccer all the time.
All soccer. All right. All right.
I've been doing a lot of DSLR stuff with the sports. Not a lot with the iPhone except for vacation. So
right. And you just recently come back from vacation, right?
Yosemite.
Oh, I hate you so much.
Sequoia and Yosemite. It was very fun. We had picture-perfect weather, to use a bad pun. So, a month before we show up in Yosemite, they had 6 feet of snow. When we get there, there's maybe a foot and a half on the ground on the north slopes in the shadow.
Yeah.
And literally the day after we left, it poured for the next week.
Oh man, timing,
So-
timing. Jeez.
So we had this little 4-day window of sunlight, 72 degrees. You know, it was really nice, and I made good use of it with my phone and my mirrorless.
I haven't been able to tell you on air how much I don't like you in a while, so let me go ahead and say it now. I don't
Yeah.
like you one bit.
I could hear it in my
rain-
ear. You know, I had this buzz. So.
That's
Back when
where
I
the
put
hair
up the
went,
picture
all
for,
burned off.
Homage. You know, I could, as I clicked send, I could hear, "I hate you."
Oh, dude, I can't stand that dude. That's exactly what I was thinking.
And it's Sweeney's fault. That rain he was talking about is what came here that gave us the 30 inches of rain.
Oh my god.
Yeah. That's right. I'll be out there Monday, so I'll feel your pain.
Monday, you're going to be underwater.
Oh goodness.
Lucky
Flooding
me.
again.
Well, let's take a look at a few more things before we get into the challenge. Google Photos is being updated, or maybe it has already been updated, but they have I don't want to call it an overhaul, but they got another option of making videos with your existing photos, and they put some other little functionality in there that can help making it easy to manage as well as search your photos. The search is something that I find pretty interesting because they've sort of tripped over their own feet a few times when it comes down to searching for something historically through your Google Photos library. But supposedly they've gotten a little bit better with that, and only time will tell. I know I use it fairly often, especially if I'm just sitting around speaking with the family or what have you, and they're asking about something from the past, and I'm like, yeah, I remember going to so and so and so and so. Let me show you, and I just hit that search button, and it's been fairly good for me, because I could type in Clemson, and of course it'll bring up everything Clemson, or search for one of my children, and it'll pull up everything that's one of my kids that I'm looking for. It's been pretty convenient for me.
Uh-huh.
You guys have any thoughts on the Google Photos app?
Yes. What I like, it now is supporting live photos from that the new iPhone can do.
Oh, okay.
And I love that.
Nice. And live photos, that's when the photos are actually like in motion, right?
Right. That's the one that it takes 3 seconds before, then 3 seconds after. You always have to remember that when you hit the button to stay still, because it's going to till it actually shows that it's taken, and it's pretty neat. And of course that you have to do a right click or on the computer. If you have the force touch, then you can use a long press and it will show up, and it actually works. Because I just put up some photos on it because I've got the new phone that does it.
Yeah,
I
whatever.
pulled up this little link here, and it says these changes make Google Photos faster and easier to use than ever, and will be coming to iOS soon. So the update hasn't come out yet for everybody. It looks like coming up on May 8th.
I got a update to Google Photos last night, I think, but I didn't look and see what it was.
Let's see. More than
You got
ever,
me wondering.
perfect video holiday trip is also perfect for Mother's Day, which Oh, okay. So no, maybe it is already out. It's just rolling out slowly to iOS. Okay. Cool. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So let's take a look at this week's challenge. Our good friend Miss Nicole H, she won our previous challenge, and she gave us an extended challenge to participate in this time. Instead of our typical 1 week, we had 2 weeks, as we mentioned last time. And the key was homage, paying homage to a particular photographer. I mean, we could pay homage to, for me, I could pay homage to a daggum Angus cow because of all of the wonderful steaks that we have in this world. But no,
Hey, that would be a very moving shot.
But no, she wanted to narrow it down and said, hey, go out there and pick a photographer, and honor them, if you will. And I thought that was interesting, especially in my shoes, because I can't say that I have a favorite photographer that really inspires me to do A, B, or C. So I just sort of went through my brain, and the first person that came to my mind, and I went with them. We had a lot of, let me see, I think we had about 10 to 12 shots in here. Yeah. So we finally got a little more participation in there. It's a lot of black and white, but these are some pretty interesting shots that are all snapped with the smartphone. So let me go ahead and share my screen. If you can see my screen, please say yes. No one can see my screen. Can anyone see
Yeah,
my
we
screen?
can see it.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll go. What we typically do for those that are watching, we will, just sort of pick through a couple of these and discuss them, critique them, let everyone know what we like, don't like, what we would have done differently, so on and so forth. It's just a genuine critique session, and it's good for me in a way because I can learn what other people are thinking, And then we'll take a look at our final top vote getter and discuss that shot and rip it to shreds like we usually do. Kidding. All right, so let's take a look at one of them here.
And it
Who's
deserves a
kidding?
rip
We'll rip it
too.
to shreds.
Let's start with Miss Rebecca Sheenan Michael. This is a late entry, but historically, when you get a shot in late, your votes don't necessarily catch up, But she was able to get in here and get 5 votes on it out of the group, which is a top number. And this was with an iPhone 6, I believe. Yeah, iPhone 6. She travels a lot. I hate her about as much as I hate Sweeney, by the way. She travels a lot, and she was inspired by Ansel Adams. And for the record, I have heard of Ansel Adams. I know he's a photographer, and I know he does black and white. But what exactly is it about Ansel Adams that makes him so special, Mr. Sweeney?
Oh my God! You just lost your photo cred.
No,
Yep.
this was
All right, I got
about
2 words.
educating the
2
people
words for
watching.
you. 2 words.
2 words. Go ahead.
Zone system.
Zone system.
So Ansel basically came up with the idea, and I am paraphrasing and compressing terribly here,
All right.
that a good picture has 16 zones ranging from absolute black to absolute white, and
Okay.
a little bit of everything in between.
Okay.
And so he would take his pictures, and then he would expose them with a zone system in mind, but when he printed and developed them, they were printed expressly with the zone system. He would dodge and burn different areas to really make that zone system work. His specialty was landscapes. I mean, he took other pictures, but everybody knows him. What is it? Moonrise. I can't think of the full title, actually.
Honestly,
Is it Moonrise over New Mexico?
There's hardly a photo that he took that hasn't been made into a poster that's
Yeah.
hanging on some wall,
Yeah.
somewhere.
I mean, they're dramatic. They're well composed. They tend to be exceptional when they're printed correctly.
Yep.
And part of that exceptionalness is the fact, as you can see it. Go back one, Ant. So you see the intense whites and the intense blacks,
Yeah.
and then he's got the grays in between. And you can
Wide
see the
range.
detail in the whites. They're not
Right.
blown.
Right.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
This is one of the things that aggravates me personally about a lot of the quote-unquote black and white photos that I see.
Yeah, they're all gray.
They're not black and they're not white.
Yeah.
They're shades of gray. And a properly, even if you're post-processing a color image, because I'm not saying you can't do it, but when you post-process an image, there should be a portion of the picture that is completely black, and there should be a portion that is completely white, and then everything else should be, as Michael Sweeney was saying, the zones system should be in between.
Doesn't have to be a lot of either. That's the
But
mistake
they
that
have to
people
be
have.
there.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's funny you guys mentioned that because I can think back over several times we've hung out on air and looked at black and white, and how
You've
much
heard
you
me
guys
rail
would
about
rip
this.
someone that's not black and white. That's not black and white, and that stuff would stick with me. And I swear, if I'm shooting something and I do a conversion on it, because sometimes my processing of a color shot, I'm thinking, you know what, I just can't do nothing to this that makes it pleasing to my eye, but I'll convert it to black and white or grayscale, if you will. And I'm thinking, okay, can I make this black and can I make this white? And if I can't, I just leave it as is, and I'll say, hey, this is a grayscale. You know, I want to make sure that it's clear to anybody else that happens to view my image, because I don't want to call it black and white if it's not black and white, because I can just hear you guys in the back of my head.
Yeah.
Idiot,
So
there's no black in there and there's no white in
so
there.
you know when Photoshop came out, the big cheat was, oh, I made a black and white. All I did was desaturate the colors. No, all you made was a very gray-looking, ugly picture.
Or in some cases, you took a very bad color picture and made it a very bad gray picture.
Right.
Yes,
You know,
called it
I've
art.
done that.
and called it art. Yes, yeah. Well,
I've done that.
you know, to quote Zoolander, this guy is so hot he could take a crap, wrap it in tinfoil, and sell it to Princess Margaret as earrings. Okay, you know, just because you know.
Good Lord, man.
See, this is
Just
why I
tell
can
me
never
the
remember everything. I got random song lyrics and movie quotes in my head. But
Just when I started singing
Yes, you told it to
Kodachrome,
British.
please don't take my Kodachrome away.
yeah. But anyway,
All right,
but
photography reference songs. All right, I got the drill for tonight.
yeah. Now you just hear the crickets. Anyway,
That's right.
but
Go
the it's one of those things where I go on the Facebook group that I'm on, Railroads in Black and White, and I see all of these excellent images, and then I just look at the way they're processed, and I go, these people do not understand the concept of black and white.
No, they don't.
They just don't. They don't get it. And I pride myself that I make an attempt. I won't say I always get there, but I make an attempt to have an incredibly high contrast on all of my black and white images, because that is the true freedom that black and white can give you. You can get.
Let's talk a bit about that before you go off the rails there. So when you shoot your picture, there is a distinct difference in how you will shoot a color picture versus shooting a black and white picture.
Mm-hmm.
Learned that
Because
too.
you can always convert. I mean, that's a no-brainer. But I'm telling you right now that my best black and white photography in the world of today with digital color is almost always where I look at the image and I compose it and shoot it with black and white in mind, not the other way around.
Yep.
Because
Lately,
there's a
I've
very
been in.
distinct difference.
Yep. Lately, I have been in a black and white period for some reason. I almost all of my shots look better to me anyway when I've done them in black and white, and I don't know if that's because that's just the mood I'm in, or if you know.
So,
Yeah, you're not going there. Okay, all right. I mean, because there's a 50 Shades of Grey joke in there somewhere.
we're gonna jump back to Rebecca's photo.
That's
right.
Good Lord. All right, share my screen again. All right, so let's go
you
back.
started in that.
Well, yeah. I mean, Sweeney's talking about 16 shades. I'm saying there's 50.
Jeez. All right, she shot this with her iPhone 6, and she did her processing in, I think she said Snapseed.
Yes.
Yeah, Snapseed.
Well, I got to whine a little bit about her because there's no photo details as far as the camera right there.
No, it ain't.
I'm an EXIF junkie. I like to read the details.
Just a data nut, dude.
Yeah, I am. I freely admit it.
The only thing that I don't like about this shot is the fact that it is unfortunately unattainable for most people, simply because, not unattainable for most people, let me rephrase that, unlikely to be taken by most people because they aren't physically present. Yeah. That's the only problem with a shot like this, because you're lucky, Rebecca, that you were able to get there and you were able to get the shot, and it's a very nice homage. Same for your shot, Sweeney.
Yeah, I hate you, Rebecca.
Yeah. Trust me, there's a little bit of hatred going on here too. Tell you what.
He's talking out of his butt.
Well,
Anybody could do this shot if they take the time. And it's not the content, it's what she did to get the image. It's great composition, it's got drama, and it's got solid processing on it. It doesn't matter if it's your kit. If you take a shot and you got those three, you'll end up with a good shot.
Yeah, the drama in this shot, it definitely stands out with the way the clouds are. But
Oh,
what
absolutely.
gets me is all of the detail you get from this ridge here, man, all the way down to these little rocks, man. That's pretty daggum crispy.
It is. It's crispy.
I give you your credit on this one, Rebecca. This is really well done.
the only thing I don't like about it is, in all seriousness, is the noise and the clouds. I could do without that.
It's black and white. Every time we shot black and white for real, it had noise. They call it grain.
Grain.
Yeah, but this looks artificial to me.
You're whining.
I am.
What are your thoughts on this, King?
He's muted.
Yeah, I'm doing claims while we're doing all this. It's a very good shot. I'm kind of like Joey. It's a little too grainy for me, but it's a gorgeous shot though, and I'm jealous because I can't get out. I can't get out in these places like that. In fact, right now I can't get out of the city.
You know, I wonder. No, you got to keep this wide.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
He's got his crop tool.
No. This one has to be full screen.
Yeah.
This one has to be.
Yeah, and you're missing the point on this, is that Mr. Ansel Adams was legendary for his freaking enormous landscapes. You don't crop this.
Yeah,
this is not a
that's what I said. You got to keep this one wide.
Yeah.
I mean, the negative was an 8x10, for God's sake.
Yeah. No, literally, he shot with extremely large format cameras,
Absolutely.
and a lot of it was on glass negatives, I think.
That's awesome, dude.
I mean, you talk about detail.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that we don't really appreciate. Some of these great photographers that we look back at and revere and homage to and such, those one of the reasons why those pictures have survived is that the quality of them was so immense that they can continue to be reproduced without any degradation for decades to come. And as a result, these people have passed down their legacy. And I think there's also one reason, by the way, that we've got so many black and whites this year, or this contest, is that so many of the legendary photos that we think of when we think of inspirational are black and white, and that's either due to the age when they were taken or the artistic feeling of someone later as color became an option.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I can agree to that.
Yeah, you said the one I really admire. I don't have enough flashes in the world to do some of his stuff.
Yeah, I bet I know the one you're talking about, or at least one of them.
Who's that?
Oh God, the rail photographer.
Winston Link.
Link. He would have banks and banks and banks of flashes to do his shots at night.
These were flash bulbs, not not electronic
flash. I don't have that. We don't have. There's not enough of those in the world for me to even try to imitate that.
He once spent, I think it was 5 days setting up a single shot or something like that. It was ridiculous. He built a rope bridge over a churning stream in order to be able to hang the lights where he needed to on the far side of it. And everything was flash bulbs.
That's awesome.
That were taken, and individual, I think there were a number of 50 flash bulbs put into sometimes big circular reflectors that looked like a sunflower almost. And he would have those made up, and he would have panels of those, sometimes 9 and 10 and 12 of those in one big spot, and they would all go off simultaneously. And that's one of the problems because his photography is very inspirational to me. I could not do an homage to any of those because it's impossible technically
Right.
To pull it off.
both with a smartphone and in practical terms, very difficult.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Unless
he
you
can
did
make a
some
steam engine.
insane editing.
Oh, no, there was no editing.
There's
that
no
was-
editing.
Unless you did some insane editing to try to pull that off, far as adding highlights here and there to try to
Nah,
replicate the lighting, possibly.
No, the only way you'd be able to pull it off with a smartphone would be to do multiple layers post-process and take individual frames and flash very small parts of the frame. And I'm talking about you'd have to have, oh God, you'd probably have to have a couple of hundred individual frames with individual points of light all sandwiched together.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
Nice.
it would be possible, yes, but to get a moving train stopped and frozen in place.
Oh no, a moving train. Okay.
Oh yeah,
Moving train. And
Moving
when he
train.
took the picture, it looked like it was completely stopped.
oh yeah.
No, and there was no blurring or anything. Everything
We're talking passenger trains at 60 miles an hour frozen.
Yeah, that's a
steam
different ball.
steam engines. Look up if you ever can Google that for Mr. Link and
Oh,
look at
Winston Link.
Winston Link. Some of his some of his pictures. I mean, and he did all of his at night, and it was always of passenger trains or freight trains, but it's always the steam engines as they were coming in there, and yet there was not a big glow of light on the engine. It just froze it.
Right.
It was just perfectly done.
He was a pioneer in night photography, and he was and is extremely well known within the railroad world as one of the photographers in that era, and it is now getting to the point where people are just now starting to compare other people to him in terms of the quality of the night photos. It's literally taken 50, 60 years
Nice.
for other people to step up to that.
yeah.
Well, I've been enlightened. Appreciate that, gentlemen.
I tried to show you a book of his once.
All right, so let's move on to another shot here. Let's get out of black and white, and we'll look at my shot now that y'all pick it apart. Actually,
Oh, it's crap.
hold on.
It's a piece of crap.
Nah, it's awful.
It's
Stinks.
horrible.
The
It looks
photographer
like-
has no idea what he's doing.
There we go. All right, so
Yep, still stinks.
thank you so much for the support, you bastards. No, this was shot with my Nexus 6, and I paid
That's the other problem.
homage to Miss Karen Hutton. And Karen Hutton, excuse me, she's a photographer, but I think she's getting most of her credibility as being a voice actor. But I know she's done a lot of different run-ins and runarounds with Trey Ratcliffe and whatnot, and that's how I ended up finding her. But I never knew anything about her until I saw her with him and dug into her a little more. And I was like, wait a minute, she's the voice of so and so. She's the voice of so and so. I go to the airport in Atlanta. She's the voice that's talking through the airport. I mean, she's pretty daggum talented, but she's also talented when it comes to her photography and her style. She does insane amounts of processing on her shots. I mean, it's heavy processing, and for some people that's a turnoff. For me, it depends on what the composition is, I guess. Because some things you can over process the crap out of it and it still be a bad picture, in my opinion. But she does a lot of nature stuff, and she does a lot of leading lines. So I went to lunch yesterday or the day before, just decided to walk down by the river, and it was decent lighting, and decided, why not just try to shoot this? And I laid down on the ground, Mr. Sweeney, to shoot this shot originally. But when I got on the ground, the focus of it, I couldn't get the focus to carry the line on around like this. So I got down on a knee instead and just sort of shot from my shin bone, and just hoped, okay, I got this thing lined up fairly close and fairly even, and hopefully I'm able to get the trail going off in the distance, if you will.
Was there a person from HR chasing you down, seeing you laying down in the woods, and trying to get you to fill out paperwork?
I work from home, dude.
Oh, nice. Never mind that.
I work from home. Um, but yeah, this is with the Nexus 6. I did a lot of the processing on Lightroom Mobile with the starting out with dehazing, cropping, and I played with the white balance on it, um, pushing the temperature a little bit cooler and also adding sort of a purple tint to it. I thought it looked a little more fairy-like or misty-like if the ground was sort of purplish instead of the dirt color that it normally is, and cranked up the saturation and clarity and contrast and tried the vignetting, and I couldn't get the vignetting to work the way I wanted to, so I put it in Snapseed and used the brush tool in Snapseed and just brushed around the edges here to get the vignette that I want. Again, to just try to highlight the leading line. But that's it. So there's some color. Let's hear your thoughts. Who wants to go first?
Oh,
King.
Michael King, why don't you take it?
King, go first.
Hang on. Okay. Sorry, I'm in right middle doing tornado claims. I like it. It's not bad. I like the way you did the whole way the shot and your composition. It's just it's very interesting. You actually did a nice job.
Thank you. Oh, and I had to screw around with the shadows also because I kept losing the detail in this tree. I wanted to keep some of it there because when I did my vignetting, it was totally just making it like a black bar, and I didn't like that. I
Right.
figured it was okay over here, but I wanted to get some of it
Hey,
to show.
you got your handy dandy cropping tool handy?
I sure do.
You need two of them.
All right, let's get two of them.
Okay. Leave that one there and get a second one.
All right.
Okay. Now, take the left one, move it just straight up so the whole image is covered top to bottom. Okay, good. Now leave it. Actually, slide it to the right a little bit.
Okay.
About right there.
Okay.
Get the right one, and let's slide it to where that dark tree of yours is.
Right there.
A little further, a little further. So I would start there and start going more vertical on it.
More vertical.
I might actually crop to the right side a little bit further
Uh-huh.
because in my mind's eye, what I want to do is you got the cool trail, but I want to keep the vertical lines of the trees.
Okay.
But when the image is wide like that, there's a lot of visual distraction in my eyes on both sides. So I want to lose that. So
by
what you have is
keeping
you
the
have a
vertical
very
trees
you
and
have
a
a
vertical
very
trail that sort of bounces.
graphical picture,
Okay.
and you got strong lines and you got this cool curve, and you really want to build on that.
Gotcha.
So let's, for giggles, let's shove it. Let's take that right crop tool and shove it over a little bit more to the left, so we get kind of a skinny picture. There we go. A little too far. Go back. A little more. Hold it about right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
And you see what bothers me about this one, Sweeney? Because I did play with the cropping just a little bit, was this line right here. I liked it better when that line came down to the corner a little bit.
Yeah, but I don't like the big tree right there.
Right, but then I was like, well, but then that still don't look right, so I just said screw it.
Now, I would crop, and something else I would kind of goof with is I like the overprocessing, but I don't like the fact there's not much highlights going on.
That was hard, dude.
Dude, you need to bring the highlights up. I mean, get some sparkle in there.
That was so hard, and it's. I said that because I think I mentioned she talked about fairy mist or something.
Yeah.
And highlights is the first thing to come to my mind, and I cranked the highlights on this thing, and I was getting nothing.
No.
I'm thinking
you're gonna have to learn how to use the tools, dude.
Right, that's what I was saying. In retrospect, I think I could have brushed these.
Yes.
To bring it out a little more. But I was like, man, this highlights, it's doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah. No, I think you've got the right image. You just need to play with it a bit more.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. Mr. Kelly, your thoughts?
One comment.
He'll tell me I'm all wrong, by the way.
It's coming.
Sweeney, you ignorant. No.
That's right.
Yeah, there's an SNL reference for the people that are older than 30 at least. This is one of those things where personally, as we've discussed before, I tend to go documentary style, not so much art style. I understand that, so I'm trying to get out of that element. And I'm honestly, really, seriously, Sweeney, I have made an awful lot of effort to try to grow in that area.
To his credit,
I have seen it. I have.
Okay, so there we go.
You're coming out of your cocoon. Good for you.
Yay! Now I'll be a beautiful butterfly. Somehow that sounded even more wrong after I said it. Anyway, the problem with the photo that is so heavily processed, when you're talking about brushing things and enhancing areas of the photo and altering the color mapping and is that when do you cross the line between a photo and a photo illustration?
It's the artist's choice.
Right. Well, my point is that I have seen some images that are so heavily processed and altered and tweaked and layered with other images and things like clouds and moons and whatnot brought in and taken out and yak, that at some point you just kind of go, this isn't a photo anymore. This is something that you've created post-process.
It was created with a photo, and it's art. It's up entirely to the artist.
Well, that's my point, though, is that when you start taking something that is almost and or maybe impossible to create in a camera or even in a dark room, at what point do you start turning you start turning yourself into a digital artist that's taking photos as raw product? You know, we don't have
the problem. I mean,
it's not a problem. It's a comment.
Photos right now are digital raw product unless you're shooting film.
Well, what I mean by that is that, you know, nobody, when a painter goes out and takes a picture for reference and then paints a painting off of the reference photo, we don't say that that's a photograph. We say it's a painting. This is in many ways not a whole lot different, because you're taking a photograph and then you're painting over it digitally with enhancement and alteration tools. And it's that debate about the guy that was shooting a soccer game and cut off people's legs in the photoshopping and made it a better picture, but made it inaccurate at the same time. So, when does that line get crossed?
You know, we have a word for you. That word is curmudgeon.
Yeah. And I'm the youngest one here. Tell you what, back in my day, we didn't have none of this here fancy digital nonsense.
That's exactly what I'm hearing, you know, blah, 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 blah.
You damn kids don't know nothing.
Joey, all right. So this shot here, this is one of Karen Hutton's photographs, and it is heavily processed.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
But it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And what I wanted to say to you, you know, as a retort, was Sweeney already said that it's art. You know, we all feel that way. It's the artist's choice to do what he wants to do. But I can't speak for you. But when I go out with my camera and I snap something, and I come back to my room to process it or whatever, and I look down at it and I say, crap, I really need to process it because this is not what I saw, you know. And there are sometimes not this shot that I shared this week, but there was this. I've taken another photograph on that same trail, and depending on the mood that I was in that particular day, I shot it, and when I got back and I processed it based on what I saw at the time, and it was sort of funky. It was sort of weird and sort of mystical kind of thing. But that's what I felt at that moment as I was walking down that trail with my son to go just hang out by the river. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's still photography. It's just the way I saw it and the way I felt it at that time. And I think even with a painter is going to do the exact same thing. You know?
Yeah, but that's the difference, is that a painter, it's always about someone's interpretation.
Uh-huh.
Because there's no perception or inherent understanding of it being true to the actual event or subject matter being depicted, because it's always the painter's impression.
Mm-hmm.
Even non-quote-unquote impressionist painters,
Yeah.
it's always that you're passing the scene, whatever's being painted, through the filter of the brain of the artist.
And
And
I
what
think
comes
the same
out
thing
of
goes for photography. It's the same thing, even down to portraits, man. Even down to me sitting somebody back here with my lights and screens and whatnot, and I snap that thing, and I could just do a simple headshot, or I can make them look beautiful. You know what I'm saying?
good luck with me.
I threw it in the towel.
That is why we are the photographers.
Right. Oh, you kidding me? I'm so hard to please when someone takes a picture of me. Oh my God, I am horrible. I'm like, nope, that's wrong, and I look fat. Change it. And they're like, but you are fat. I'm like, shut up.
I love it.
Yeah,
You know,
everybody
what
likes truth until you tell it to them, and then they call you a jerk.
Yeah. I know.
Oh my God, it's the Hindenburg over there.
We talked about Trey Ratcliffe in the past, and I like Trey Ratcliffe, but some of his stuff is just too out there for me. It is.
Yeah.
It's
He
just
pushes pixels pretty hard.
You know.
Well, refresh my memory, Sweeney. I'm sure you know who this is, and I can never remember I think it was a female photographer's name. She shot one specific type of photography, and it was little kids dressed up in adult-looking clothes in black and white, but then there would be like flowers in color.
Talking about Ann?
I don't know.
Ann Gibbs? No. Who was that?
But you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
It was a very distinctive style. And
thank God it died.
That was it. When I was in middle school, one of the teachers had her entire classroom plastered with like 4 or 5 or 6 years of calendars worth of those pictures. And it spoke to her as a form of art. And I'm not saying there was anything wrong with it, but it was one of those things where it was okay as a diversion. It was okay as a once-in-a-while type thing. But when you saw it en masse, it bordered on creepy.
Right.
You know, it was just, you know, and I don't know. It was just one of those things where I'm just going, okay, I understand what she's trying to do here. It's like capturing innocence or something, because it would be like the little boy giving the little girl a flower or whatever, and oh, we're putting the emphasis on the flower and this cute, da-da-da-da-da. But when there's 400 pictures of it,
It's
you
no
just
different
go
from people wanting to shoot Lego all the time, or Star Wars figures all the time. I mean, people pick their medium, and it's their little niche. You know.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but I'm just saying when you display it in nauseum, it gets a little overbearing.
Yes, indeed.
Of course, then again, I've been told I've been overbearing.
No comment.
No. You?
All right, so let's
epitome of style and panache.
Get the 1 or 2 more before we get out of here. So we're running a long time. We'll look at.
You can pick on me if you want. Although I did actually want to discuss a little bit more about the process that I went through to get that.
No, we're not going to have time. We're going to look at this one here from Nicole.
Fine.
There we go. Nicole H.
Yet another good one from Nicole H.
Holy freaking cow. I can't remember what she uses. Is it S6? Yeah, she uses an S6 Snapseed.
I'm going to gripe about this one like I did Ant's.
You gonna what?
It should be vertical crop.
Oh, okay. Photoshop
yeah.
Express, adjusted to clarity. You know, I don't even want to get into the tech specs, but holy crap, this is really, really, really nice. I like the lighting on it myself. And I guess it's almost like she shot it with a softbox or something because it's not a real harsh light. But then again, that may be the filter. I don't know. It may be the editing, but I love the way this is lit and I love the tone of it. Cropping wise, I guess it depends on where this is displayed. I could see it as more of a vertical crop versus this wide off-center crop.
Okay. I would crop closer on the left to where the arm was in the corner. There you go. And I would trim back a little bit of the negative space because right now it looks like it's ready for a spread in a magazine for a big ad.
Right, that's what I said.
Rheumatoid arthritis on something.
Do you suffer from dry, flaky skin?
That's right.
Say, depending on where I would see this shot, I don't have a problem with this crop, but maybe right about there.
I would crop it even closer to that finger.
Nah, I like the visual space. But you got to remember, I like square crops. So you guys can take all your rectangles and go pound sand.
I have actually square cropped and called it a Sweeney crop, just so you know, if you haven't paid attention to some of the Hangouts.
He said, "Go pound sand." Wow, you are harsh, brother.
Well, all right, we have two crops now. We have the Sweeney crop and we have the Porter's crop.
That's right.
This is true. This is true. But no, Nicole, this is really, really well done as usual using your Samsung Galaxy S6. Mr. King, you have any thoughts on this shot?
Except for believe it or not, actually have to agree with Mr. Chrome Dome over there. That the square crop have been perfect for this. It's a great shot as it is, but that cropping right there makes it even better.
Yeah. I love the processing. The processing is great. Everything
else is just heads above anything else. I mean, she can almost make a living out of this now.
Dude,
she's gotten so good.
Let me share something with you guys, man. All right, this is what just blows me away about smartphone cameras in general. Look right there. I mean, and I'm zooming in now, but I wasn't zoomed in at first. But being able to see cuticle detail that, you know, that's pretty daggum sick with these cameras today, man. We've come a long way. Long way. You know, I'm zoomed out, and I could see this woman's cuticle imperfection.
Well, and I haven't yet seen. I've seen some pictures from the new S7. They are even better than this, awesome. And that's not bad. As I said, the smartphone has come a long way, and I'm kind of curious to see what Apple does whenever they do their next phone. Right. How it's going to do, if they're going to make any improvements on the camera.
That's my S7 right here.
What's that, Sweeney?
These are my S7 right here. These are payments from using my cards for travel.
Smart man. Smart man. Yes.
I have an upgrade in my near future.
I dig your game, sir. I dig your game. Mr. Kelly, you have any thoughts on this shot?
Well, I got to hand it to her.
Oh, jeez.
Oh.
Where is it? Where are the Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah, sorry. I guess she nailed it.
I should have had the music for that.
Yeah. Oh, well. No. In all honesty, the only comment that I will make is that if you look at the insane amount of work that she had to do to get it to look like this, it's not that I don't think it was worth it, because it clearly was. It was a great shot, Nicole. My only comment would be that if you shot this with something else, like an SLR, for instance, I think you'd have the ability to do more in the camera and less post, and overall you'd have a better shot faster, perhaps. But I guess that's one of those discussions about generic photography versus smartphones. The smartphones will always have to do post-processing to get them really good.
Well, and again, Joey, she does have options with instead of it coming out in that JPEG format. Shoot it to where you get a DNG or PNG file or something like that, where it's not as compressed. And I know with my own experience,
You're
I've
talking
taken
about a TIFF file.
Say it again.
You're talking about a TIFF, not a PNG.
and in taking that shot that I had that was pretty craptastic because of the conditions that I was shooting in, and being able to shoot it in that other format, I was able to rescue that shot essentially, because I had more to work with, and it was and the editing, Joey, at least for me, that's part of the journey.
Well, I guess it's one of those comments where, like I say, it's the difference between generic photography comment versus smartphone comment.
Yeah.
I think that this would be a very, not easy necessarily, but a relatively easy shot to take with an SLR and maybe an off-camera flash, possibly a softbox.
Who are you kidding? Who are you kidding, Joey? To get that picture and that sharp, you're going to be shooting with a prime, which means you're going to have to be playing around your depth of field. And to get the tonality that she's gotten, you better be shooting full frame, or at least one of the new mirrorless. I mean, no, the smartphone gets it hands down every time, because you line up, you compose, you take your picture. There's virtually no adjustments to play with except maybe some minor exposure adjustments. I disagree with that you would do better faster with a DSLR. And I disagree with probably 90% of the people. There's that 10% that understand that the DSLR is just a box with a hole in it, just like any other camera, and they understand their box well enough to where they're not fiddling around with all the adjustments. They don't get lost in the whole gear mentality. So it's a free advice. It's worth what you paid for it.
Yeah, I know. Bill's in the mail. But one other, and this has nothing to do with Nicole specifically, but I actually posted, when I posted one of my photos, I said, okay, no one's going to know what this photo is supposed to look like. So the first comment I posted was, this is a link to the picture, the specific picture that I'm trying to homage. And I kind of wish we'd put that in the rules, because I don't know if this is a good homage or not, because I have never seen this particular photographer's work. Maybe it's a great photo, but it's a horrible homage. I mean, it probably isn't, because she wouldn't have referenced somebody that wasn't.
And it's why I at least try to go in behind all of y'all and put in some stuff myself, because I was thinking the exact same thing. I think I ended up picking on you first, Joey, is because I was like, okay, I like your shot, but who the hell shot it?
You obviously didn't look at the first link I posted.
What? No,
there was a link there.
You showed me, you showed me that last week. It was a photo from Sons of Anarchy, but it didn't tell me squat about the photographer. You know
well, I don't know who it was, because it wasn't credited.
Right. See, that was my point with going behind everybody as best as I could and try to stick in little crap like that here and there, because I thought that would be worth knowing when people decided to look at the shot. That's why I said earlier about Ansel Adams. Yeah, we know Ansel Adams, but we don't know Ansel Adams like some people do. So enlighten us, if you will. You know what I mean?
So in that same vein, if I had shot my favorite photographer, I don't think I could have done it. Not with any kind of reasonable amount of accuracy with my smartphone.
Right.
And that's because, do you know who Eddie Adams is?
I do not. But I'm sure there's resources that has Eddie Adams out there, right?
I can tell you the one picture that everybody knows.
What's that?
And that was the execution of the Viet Cong in Vietnam by the general.
Oh, beautiful, man. That's a powerful image.
It is. He hated that image.
It's a powerful image.
So
Yeah.
he was a renowned war correspondent photographer. That's what he did.
Right. But
And
even still,
so,
Sweeney,
walking down the streets of LA might count as a war zone sometimes, but not today.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking along the lines of doing an homage. I mean, that was the problem with so many of the pictures that I have been inspired by and the photographers that I've been inspired by. They shot stuff that doesn't exist now. And I don't
But
mean
you can borrow the style.
right? And see, that was
yeah.
that was what I was hoping I could see from guys like you. Was Sweeney? No, I didn't know who the hell that photographer was, but this internet has got something with him on there. You know what I mean? So it can
Absolutely.
enlighten people like me and say, oh, okay, so that's who this guy is. I could have Googled him and gone through and dug up.
I would recommend to Google him and
You know.
check out some of his work. It's fascinating. He did a lot of photography, so it wasn't just war, but that happens to be what he was known for to a
Yeah.
lot of people.
That's the one thing that I liked about this particular challenge was it gave us an opportunity to see what these other photographers were all about. We know they shot black and white, but heck, we may have been able to figure out their inspiration. Especially now I didn't know Ansel Adams used those huge negatives. I had no idea.
Oh yeah,
Didn't know that, but
8.5 by 11,
that's some
maybe,
good shit
or
to
8 by 10.
know. Some good
Mhm.
stuff to know.
And
All right, so let's go on and get
just
into our final shot here. What are you saying?
to bring up a point. So
Mhm.
one of the things I hear a lot is people are worshiping Ansel Adams as a demigod of photographers. Okay, that's cool. And they worship the equipment he used. And I go, whoa, time out. If you didn't know what he shot that with, what would you do?
Wouldn't matter, right?
I mean, it wouldn't matter. I mean, if somebody walked up to you and handed you an ancient 8 by 10 large format camera and says, here's Ansel's camera, go out and make some cool images,
Yeah,
they'd probably suck.
They'll bitch about it. Oh, I can't do this with this camera. Yeah,
Oh
That's
yeah.
right.
Well, it was a comment made that somebody once, one of the roadies once sat down and played Phil Collins's drum set. You know what? It sounded like every other drum set out there on the planet
exactly.
because there isn't anything
Of
to
course,
do with the damn
probably
drums.
a little worse.
It probably, well, maybe it sounded worse. I have no idea, but my point is that it has nothing to. I mean, I can have Carlos Santana's guitar. It doesn't mean I'm going to be able to play a chord like that man can. I mean, so what if I've got Ansel Adams' camera? That does not make me a good photographer. It doesn't make me able to replicate his pictures.
But that's precisely my point.
Yeah.
It's style and technique,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy or gal who is twiddling the knob to take the picture.
Yep. And I have had that debate with so many people.
Yeah, I mean, I could go out and I could take pictures in the style of Eddie Adams with my smartphone just fine. But the reality is I didn't have that opportunity this week, or I didn't make it. I guess that's probably more accurate.
No judgment here, Mr. Sweeney. Not this time. Not this time.
Oh, there's judgment. We hate him. That's just
Yeah, I know.
All right, let's look at this last shot before we get out of here.
No.
Boy, this pains me to do this. Unfreaking believable. All right, so this is an Ansel Adams homage shot on a stupid iPhone by some guy.
Stupid iPhone by some idiot photographer.
That is over. That has too much grain in it.
Somewhere in your half dome.
That's the only problem with it.
Just whatever, man. No, Sweeney, this is hot, man. This is hot. This is with the iPhone 5S.
Yep.
Processed with Snapseed. My only gripe, which I know you disagree with, is the image noise. But paying homage, black and white film will have.
So I actually debated with myself on this. So I actually added grain to it.
Okay.
You
to make
idiot.
it look a little older.
Shut the hell
Yeah,
up.
that's not. He ruined it.
And it came back. It came back to shooting on old style film.
Yeah, I sort of figured that.
Ah,
So
yeah,
you know,
I get
now
that.
I am going to take this image for giggles, and I'm going to load it into Photoshop, and I'm going to work with SilverFX Pro on it.
Oh wow, yeah.
So I
That
want to
app
do
works
a
really well with
compare and
black and white.
contrast of 5 minutes of post processing with Snapseed versus using the big dog and seeing what I can pull out of it.
Yeah, that's a pretty nice plug-in.
Yeah, it
now
is.
the
I
only
love that.
see now the only problem with that little comment, Sweeney, is I was going to let you off the hook on the noise until you told me that you added it in.
That's
And
right.
the reason why I'm having such a problem with that as an Ansel Adams homage is that dang near none of his stuff had grain in it. And the reason
Well,
for that was
I'm not shooting on an 8x10 either.
well, that was my point, was because he shot with these
Yeah.
by today's standards insanely large plates.
So
He had almost
here's the flip to that. Here's the flip to that. And this is understanding the limitations of your equipment and understanding the limitations of post processing. So without the grain, the picture, it didn't look quite right because I had pushed those pixels pretty damn hard on the phone to get what I wanted. Now the grain does two things. It adds that old school look that some people like and some don't. But more importantly is it breaks up the irregularities that makes the picture look kind of rough. So at this point you don't see that blockiness that would show up. It's camouflage, for lack of a better word.
okay. So you're telling me that it's an analog hack on a digital image, basically.
Pretty much. And there's actually a second hack at work here. And the geeks will like this. So this image was processed first as a color image with the blues pushed really hard.
Okay.
Now, it looks like hell in color, but
Okay.
when you flick it to black and white, guess what, people? My
Bada
white
bing.
show up really nice and clean.
Nice. That is pretty cool.
So, again, it's understanding how this stuff actually works. In the bad old days of shooting film, you'd have a red or an orange or a blue filter over the lens when you actually expose the film to get the same effect.
I will say one more thing on this, and this is just an artistic preference myself, is I would have toned down the sharpness here, the clarity here, just a little bit.
Well, that's
what
also
I'm
an
doing.
Adams homage, is that everything was crystal freaking clear.
It was.
Yes,
You
that's the big
cut,
thing.
you cut yourself with it.
Yeah, and that's what I say. This is just an artistic preference.
Well,
for me.
I would say that that's an artistic preference that's been set by the photography that you've seen.
Mhm.
And I think what you need to do, in all seriousness, is find a book of Ansel Adams photography that's really a well done book, and see this man's work printed in large format, and it will quite honestly, literally take your breath away.
Oh no, don't get me wrong. The stuff that I have seen, it's shit. You're right. It's breathtaking. And then when you consider when and time this stuff was captured,
There
holy
was
freaking cow.
Ant, there was no less than 20 people around me with DSLRs taking this picture,
Yeah, of course.
and not one of them was looking down at the reflection.
Right. Right. Right.
They were all focused on the hill.
Yeah. Different composition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be the wrong one.
Yeah, Sweeney, this was
Depends.
this
Depends
was
what they wanted.
This is one of your best ones, my man, as usual. Mr. King, did you have anything you want to add on it?
I said, since you explain, I just didn't like all the grain, but now you explain why the grain's there. I can understand it, because to me it's just a little too much, a little too grainy. But I can understand why he did it now, since he explained it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I had to push it really, really hard to get the effect I wanted.
Oh, and Mr. Kelly, by the way, thank you for your previous advice regarding black and white, and understanding the difference between the green filter and the orange filter, that has been helpful for me a time or two in my processing. So thank you for that tip.
Oh, you are quite welcome. I don't know if I even posted it in the community or not. I know I threw it up on my Facebook, but I recently
you mentioned it on air to me.
No, I was going to reference a specific shot
Okay.
where that really came into play. There's a railroad up here that painted an orange stripe around the center of its locomotives. When you shoot them in black and white, orange and the gray/black color that they painted the rest of the locomotive usually blends together because of the way because of the way the camera interprets it. So you use a red or a green, or I think a couple of times I've actually used a yellow filter post process to pop out that orange. And when you do that, you can actually see the line of color in the black and white image.
Nice.
Which is really kind of freaky. And I don't know if I posted that one in the community or not.
Good tips. All right, folks. Well, congrats to.
As soon as you get through.
Yeah. Congrats to Mr. Sweeney. I look forward to the challenge. Well, I take that back. Okay.
I predict that he will name the challenge Joey, you ignorant. Anyway.
I will not be looking forward to the challenge that is proposed by Mr. Mike Sweeney, but I do wish him congratulations on another stellar shot for the community and sharing his thought process as far as putting that together. So thank you, sir, and congratulations.
It was fun.
All right, so we're going to get out of here now.
Yeah.
We will allow you folks to plug anything you'd like to plug. Let us know where we can find you and your work or anything that you're working on. So we'll go over to Texas, Mr. King. Where do we find you and your work?
First of all, I want to introduce you all to Winston Link's most famous picture of his. That he did. It was in a drive-in theater.
That was the same one I pulled up.
That is the most famous picture.
And there is an incredible amount of information and interesting fiddly bits about that photograph. And I could do a 15-minute talk on that. I will not. But it is a very interesting picture for multiple reasons. So.
Oh yes. There's the other most famous one is that one of a Norfolk and Western J that was done inside of someone's living room, and you see the train is perfectly focused and lit up.
Yep.
But that can be found anywhere, on the web. That's Michael King 4023 or just Michael King.
All right. Thank you, sir. It's good to see you. We'll go on over to Maine, Mr. Joey Kelly. Where do we find you and your work?
Well, as we all know, we can find me at Joey, Joey, Kelly, KELLEY.com. And let's see where you will find links to all of my various parts and pieces in terms of where you can find me and my photography and some of my interests. And a recent update to... Huh? Yes, I was going to say, a recent update to the quotes page. Actually, this is one that I actually did. I found this on Facebook because I had written it on 4/27/15. So this is one of mine. There are moments where life seems to take a moment to breathe. Moments of stillness, contentment, peace. May one of those moments find you each day, and may you recognize it for what it is. A chance to stop and live in the moment and be one with what is around you.
Love it.
Perfect.
Love it. Appreciate you hanging out with us this evening, my man.
As always, look forward to it every week.
Lastly, over to California, Mr. Mike Sweeney. Where do we find you and anything that you got working or going on?
Lately, you'll find me on my Instagram account, Mike Sweeney Media. And for the last 5, 6, 7 months, I've become a lot more active on there. I'm having a lot of fun with it. The website's still around, www.msmedia.me, although it's been somewhat sadly neglected for the last few months between work and a lot of other things. It's been soccer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is what it is. You can find me in the Twitterverse, and you can find me there as Light and Images. It's a legacy account, which I just don't really have the heart to shut down.
I see your tweets on there here and there. Your Instagram is definitely one that's fun to follow, though.
Oh, definitely.
Unless you have a jealous bone in your body like I do. So.
You know what?
Put that on the block filter.
I just hear the hate and just consider it a source.
Oh my gosh, man! Some of them things, I'm like, did I really just hit like on this one?
Like, I don't want to like this. I want to hate this, but there's no hate button.
There's no hate button on there, dang. Jeez, man. No, good to see you as always. Glad you're able to hop in this week. I know you've been pretty busy.
It's been insane.
That's what's up. All right. Lastly, myself. You find me here on Google Plus with the handle of Ant Pruitt. Pretty simple, right? Or you can go to Twitter and check out my little rambling thoughts there at Ant_Pruitt, or just go to the website antpruitt.com. I'm trying to keep that, somewhat updated regularly. I ain't gonna promise it, but I'll try. And you can just follow me, like I said, just with Twitter and Google Plus. That'll give you most of my content here recently. If you're interested in joining the smartphone photographers community, you have to be an active Google Plus user and just request an invite from myself or any of these folks here on the Hangout tonight. We'll do a little semi-background check on you to make sure you'll fit in and not necessarily going to be a spammer and just, not necessarily
Please have pictures to see
anything to the community. It's greatly appreciated for those that can participate fairly regularly and share, not only their insanely awesome shots, but, share some how-tos, share some findings, share some app picks or anything like that, because we all want to get better. Which reminds me, briefly, high-speed camera. I told Edwin Boatswain that I would check out that app. High-speed camera is supposed to allow you to take a bunch of burst modes silently and efficiently on Android. No, don't even bother. I will say it is good for creating animated GIFs or GIFs, depending on what type of nerd you are. If you want to shoot those, it's great for that. It's pretty daggum seamless, and it's really, really fast. But I think we're limited to the smartphone's capability, because I still got blur on certain things when it tried to burst. So I just wouldn't bother with it. All right.
Choosy websites choose GIF.
Oh God, where's that block button there? Oh,
you need a
sorry.
mute button.
Good grief. He's getting out of hand.
All right, so we're going to get out of here. Thank you, folks, for watching and supporting the smartphone photographers community. Thank you, community members, for putting up with me and my lack of leadership that I may portray here and there. Sorry.
Don't forget
Thank
you for muting me, Sweeney. Yes,
Good job, Sweeney.
Yeah.
Well done. All right, we'll do this again next week, Thursday, roughly 9 p.m. Eastern time, if we can, and we'll have our challenge, we'll have our discussion. Be sure to check out the website, smartphone-photographers.com, for the rerun of this. And when you see that, hit like and subscribe and share with your friends. Until next time, we're going to mute Joey and say peace.